Hello and welcome. Return once more for Worldbuilding Wednesday and all, whichever day it is for you. So, today we will be talking about, well, mostly starships. So, without further ado, let's get to it. So, as per usual, I am your host, Casimir Basilius, Imperial Lord, etc., etc. However, that's not our topic of the day. Our topic of the day is starships. Well, I suppose first I should say, well, more so, apologize for missing News Tuesday once more. We have been working on the Galactic Requiem rules, the books, for, well, the past, well, a long time, but a lot recently, which has put it, well, in a way in which we have not been able to prepare the news broadcast. So I apologize for that. However, today, starships. So where to begin? We're not going to cover FTL, as we've already covered that many times and in its own video. So that would be in the lore video series, which hopefully we'll get back to making more episodes of. But for now, starships. Not only how they work and all that, but world building them and the whole everything. I'm not going to be statting them, probably, maybe. We'll mostly be covering the topic of starships. So, starships. Where to begin? Of course, there are different classes of starships, but I mean, this isn't a lore video, but let's start at the beginning. Why not? Starships, well, they come in a variety of different classes and have a variety of different uses. Starships, of course, are used to travel amongst the stars. They're also used in mining operations and, well, resource harvesting, mining, transport, anything you'd use a normal vehicle for, warfare, and more. But, of course, starships started originally. I mean, let's not get into their history too much. In short, starships started as relatively structurally weak vehicles just meant to transit things into orbit for most nations originally. But now, in, well, so many years since the pre-FTL era, well, I mean, let's dig into it. Forgive me, I will have to quickly find and open a book. Which book did I save this in? That would be the law book, wouldn't it? Yep. Okay. So let's start with technology. So I can find the section here. So, of course, you would need a slight understanding of technology levels to proceed. But I mean, let's give just a brief rundown of technology. Just a a slice of how technology works, or at least the tech tree level thing. We're not going to cover nations or how to level tech. Just here's the basics. So tech level 8 is what you Elysians would consider the World Wars, 1901 to 1945. Tech level 9 is your Cold War era, 1946 to 1991. Tech level 10 is the modern era. Tech level 11 or 10 is modern era, basically 1992 to 2045 or so. Tech level 11 is 2046 to 2100. Tech level 12 is 2150 to, well, 2101 to 2150. Tech level 13 is 2200 up to 2200. Tech level 14 is up to 2300. Tech level 15 is 2500, and so on. So, and everything above that's just far future. It goes all the way to 26. Tech level 16 is the Galactic Standard. Tech level 18 is the High Galactic Standard. Tech level 20 is around in the galaxy for people who push their tech, but also tech level 20 is about Commonwealth robots the collision tech level. So, yeah. Imperial starships, like our personal starships, are about tech level 22 for the majority of their tech. Anyway, so that's a brief overview. Now, starships, as you might know, well, space travel, well, not really travel, but launching things into space, pretty much goes back to tech level 8, 9, mostly tech level 9 is when you start to see things being done in space. While it is possible to get things into space at tech level 8, generally you don't see it happening. Tech level 9 is when you see things launched into space, the first satellites, that kind of thing. You start to see people in space also in the later years of tech level 9. Tech level 10, you start to see space infrastructure being built, usually. So, I mean, tech level 10 is understandable for you Elysians. Tech level 10, like I said, 1992 to 2045. So, you know, easily understandable about, relatively understandable about what's available. So, let's get to the higher techs. Tech level 11, we're not covering tech, this is all just related to space. So, tech level 11, you start to see very early space colonies. Colonies on any moons a planet may have. Possibly even other close planets in the system. For you Elysians, that would be Moon, Mars, those kinds of places. Basically, since it goes to 2100, you're looking at basically Moon to Mars era, possibly even Venus colonization. Anyway, so basically, very shitty early research bases, colonies. At the end of tech level 11, you're starting to get to like actual civilizations, like colonies with people on them, not just research. So you're getting to people actually living up there. Sorry, clicked off the book there. Here we are. So now we look at tech level 12. Tech level 12, you're looking at early space colonies. Not very early, now early. Basically, people actually starting to live in space in larger numbers, space stations out there, like colony space stations where lots of people live. That can happen at tech level 11. It's possible at tech level 11. It's even possible at tech level 10 if you have space infrastructure. All of this, but generally this is what you see. You're seeing colonies all throughout a star system, all throughout it. Every object in the star system, ships, shitty ships, but ships going back and forth. Tech level 13, you start to see, where is it? In-system colonization at a vast degree. Now you have not just small colonies, people on every object. You have people all throughout the system. Technically, you're getting to, depending on your government, entire nations forming at this point. Full-on nations with their own identities, their own, oh yes, this is our planet kind of thing. They're at this point rivaling, not rivaling because the core world, the home world has an advantage, but basically you're looking at tech level 10 worlds, worlds like Earth. Maybe not terraformed, definitely not terraformed, or at least they're starting terraforming, but you're basically looking at, you know, high populations, people living day-to-day lives. Now, you get tech level 14, now you're looking at non-FTL starships. And when we say non-FTL starships, we don't mean like your starships, the starships that are traveling with people around, which are basically shells of starships, not structurally sound. They're getting there, but they're very weak. At tech level 14, you're looking at starships that basically resemble tech level 16 starships in light capability. Tech level 15 fully sets that up. You have a space military, you have non-FTL starships equivalent to spaceships, as you would see throughout the galaxy. Tech level 15 has achieved equivalent parity to space militaries just without FTL capability. Full-on space militaries, warships that are equivalent to the galactic standard. Tech level 16, FTL is achieved, multiple colonies throughout multiple systems, star systems that is, and full-on FTL achieved. So, yes. And tech level 17 is just rapid terraforming, so it's not too important to cover here, and the rest of them don't really relate too much to starships other than available modules and capabilities and all that. So, so that's the very basics of the steps of tech to starships. So, starships start as transit, mining, shipping, utility, and eventually they grow. I mean, there's also production. Anything a facility can do, a starship can probably do it. Usually, only at tech level 14, 15 do you start to see actual, I mean, you can see production starships before that, but before that point, they're more so stations than starships. It's not like you can't have starships that have more capabilities at earlier tech. It's just not as common to see because it's just easier to use a facility and have gravity because you don't get artificial gravity till FTL. Artificial gravity sort of comes with FTL. So before that point, you're really using, I mean, you can get it the step before FTL and the step before that, you can theoretically get it because you can push towards it. Let me double check our gravity rules. But of course, there's lesser forms of gravity. I say lesser, they're just as good. For instance, spin gravity. It's artificial gravity, it's just not the sci-fi kind you would expect. It's you spin something and it generates gravity. How does it generate gravity? Force. It's actual physics stuff. But in short, it's something you Elysians could do right now at tech level 10. It's not some sci-fi crazy technology. You spin something, physics says the force pushes things towards the outside, bam, artificial gravity. It's why the concept of O'Neill cylinders exists, and ring worlds, and all that. O'Neill cylinders and spin gravity stations possible for your tech, theoretically. Ring worlds, bit more advanced, but same gravity method. Anyway, so basically, there's plentiful uses for starships. Anything you could use a factory, a vehicle, a structure for, you can probably use a starship for it. So, starships, where else to go? Well, they have a variety of different structures built into them. I suppose for that we should open the Starship construction book. Here we are. Starships have a variety of different systems and modules built into them, along with additional support modules and systems and all that, that basically allow them to do anything. You can put a factory in your Starship for, that's an option. But generally, starships have a series of important systems built into them. Their gravity, if it's artificial. A starship doesn't have to have gravity, but most modern starships will have a gravity-dedicated system. Comms for, well, communications. A variety of defensive systems. Shields, possibly. Not always, but many starships will have shields. Engines, to make the starship go, of course. FTL engines and or just FTL to make the starship go at faster than light speeds. Very useful for traveling long distances. Sensors for detecting things. A starship's computer systems, of course. Often a starship will have weapons and non-critical systems, which cover a variety of other systems such as power cores, other special systems, consumables, life support, etc. But there are countless systems and options in Galactic Requiem to what you can do with a starship and what systems you can put into one. Grapplers, tractor beams, factories, escape pods, workshops, communication hubs, literally anything. Now, starships also have a variety of classes. Starship classes are basically, well, classification of starships. There's two views. There's military classification and civilian classification. Military classification has, well, just to get it out of the way, there are escape pods. It's not necessarily a military classification, but there are escape pods. Now, for military classification, you have light fighters, which range from generally 5 to 10 meters, fighters, which range from 10 to 20 meters, dropships and or gunships, patrol craft, etc., which range from 20 to 50 meters, corvettes, which range from 50 to 100 meters, frigates, which range from 100 to 250 meters, destroyers, which range from 250 to 500 meters, cruisers, which range from 500 to 1,000 meters, battle cruisers, which range from 1,000 to 2,500 meters, carriers, which range from 1,000 to 2,500 meters, battleships, which range from 1,000 to 2,500 meters, dreadnoughts, which range from 2,500 meters up. Now, this isn't a rule or a law. This is just the galactic standard classification, meaning it's what the galaxy agrees to call things on a nation-to-nation basis. Nation A dealing with Nation B has a series of paperwork they want, a treaty. Nation A is imposing a treaty on Nation B. Nation A doesn't want to have to define the entire definition of what will classify as a frigate, so they use the Galactic Standard Classification and will say, you cannot build anything larger than a frigate. There you go. Easy as that. Without having to redefine frigate for every single nation, etc., etc. They just say frigate as the galactic standard sense. That doesn't mean that independent nations don't classify their own vehicles as whatever they want to classify it as. Same with money, which I'm sure we've been over before. Galactic Standard credits are the currency backed by the Galactic Standard Bank and the Galactic Council as the currency that's used for dealings between nations, and usually within nations just due to convenience. However, nations can have their own currency that differs. Same with ship classification. So, then we have civilian classification. Now, I'm not going to read out the scale again, but I mean, it's the same scale chart. So 5 to 10, D class, vessel, 10/J. T class, then 10 to 20 meters. It follows the exact same line as we went over before. So, yeah. T class, 9/I, S class 8/H, M class 7/G, L class 6/F, H class 5/E, G class 4/D, C class 3/C, C2 class 2/B, C2 plus class 1/A, and then they have actual dreadnought classification for civilian-based vessels. So then you get into C2 plus class 1/A plus, C2 plus class 1/A plus plus, and then 1/A plus plus plus, which is A is 2,500 to 5,000. A plus is 5,000 to 2,000 to 20,000 meters. A plus plus is 20,000 meters to 100,000 meters. And A plus 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 is 100,000 meters to 200,000 meters. Anyway, now that we've covered all of that, basically, they have equivalents. So D class is a light fighter, T class is a fighter, S class is a gunship and or dropship, M class is a corvette, L class is the frigate, H class is the destroyer, etc., etc. Now, basically, well, those are classifications. They also determine size, which determines various modifiers of a starship. Starships, of course, transit through FTL and have two very important systems for that: their engines and their shielding. However, most ships also have slight warp capabilities, despite not having a warp drive. That's not a question. They have it despite not having a warp drive. Mostly because, well, most FTL enables you to lightly warp space to a light degree. It's used for starship acceleration, usually, mostly. It doesn't allow you to go super fast, but it accelerates your starship easily. Now, starships also are built with a variety of systems. As we stated, there's the systems we stated, but basically, starships have power generators that help them run. They have engines. It's how they go. They have armor. It's how they resist exploding. Every ship has armor, even if it's a civilian vessel. There's also additional armor rating, but that's exterior plating armor, not built-in armor. Then you have communications, so you can comms in a variety of ways, sensors to detect things, defensive systems, additional systems, workshops, weapons, all that good stuff. Point defenses. Now, time to talk about design philosophies. In Galactic Requiem, we have an average amount of guns per ship. There's an average amount of guns that is generally the standard. That number ranges with ship class, because, size and class. But let's go to our item book. Yeah, well, basically, you have a variety of different modules you can put on your words. Brain failing. Yeah, well, basically, you have an amount of space that can be varied when designing your starship of weapons to put on it. Currently, we have military ships. We have civilian ships spec'd too, don't get me wrong. But what I'm trying to say is, in the current galactic era, the majority of starships that are military are built for a galactic war style conflict. This means they have a lot of guns and have had this way since pretty much the First Galactic War. Before the First Galactic War, it was different for civilized nations. Up until, well, except for the Empire and the Ancients and several other nations. But they used to mount a lot less weapons on a ship. Nowadays, we mount a lot more. For instance, if I can find the military ship section. Here we are. A corvette, nope, let's do a frigate. A frigate will mount 12 anti-fighter cannons, usually, and 8 main guns. Basically, well, I suppose that doesn't mean a lot, does it? Okay. Oh, let's explain. 12 anti-fighter cannons is 12 automatic 100mm cannons. Fully automatic 100mm cannons, 12 of them. So that's anti-fighter weapons. And 8 main weapons. We're talking about Well, what is 5d10 times 5 equivalent? Luckily, we have a book for this. 5d10 times 5. 25d10. And or 13d20. Sorry, looking for the section. 25d10 or 13d20. Okay, so you're talking about the equivalent of a 500 and something, 550 millimeter battleship cannon? 500, 550 millimeter battleship cannon. Possibly pushing up to, no, 500, 500, around 500 millimeter battleship cannon. Firing at a rate of standard. So you're looking at about what is standard? I'm forgetting the definitions of things in my own system. Combat chart. Fire rate. Standard. Here we are. So standard, you're looking at a fire rate similar to a similar speed of fire to a bolt action rifle, but with a with a battleship cannon. So when I say 8 main guns, basically we're talking about 8 battleship cannons firing at relative high speed, and 12 automatic 100 millimeter cannons. So yeah, that's roughly, well, the amount of firepower we're talking about for a frigate. And I'd like to remind you, a frigate is, I mean, side note, yes, many of these also carry missile tubes and a variety of other things. For instance, if they have missile tubes, they can theoretically fire nuclear missiles. They usually also have anti-missile defenses. There's a variety of options. They're highly modular of what you can put onto it. But for remembering's sake, a frigate is about up to 250 meters. I think it's 100 to 250 meters. So that's what you're looking at, with quite a few heavy weapons. Let's see. So one thing we do consider rules-wise is having non-modern, both civilian and non-heavily militarized vessels with far less armament, only like 4, 5 guns, maybe 10 at most. But I mean, it really depends. I mean, the bigger the ship, the more guns it's going to have. We're talking about more so frigates, corvettes, and destroyers than anything. There's also, of course, like I said, missile weapons and launchers that can fire a variety of guided munitions. Downside, of course, being the ability to jam them, stealth against them, and shoot them down. And they're expensive. Don't get me started on cost. Here we are. So, your average round of a starship cannon, and we're talking specifically FTL enabled, a full-on FTL enabled starship round. By FTL I do mean lightly warp linked and or lightly FTL energy linked for weapons. For those heavy guns, you're looking at about 10,000 bucks a shot for something that does 10d10 times 5 damage. 10,000 bucks a shot. For a missile, you're looking at up to 3 million to 300,000. As low as 30,000 in some rare cases. So you're looking at least triple the cost, at most so much more than triple the cost. So missiles, I mean, well, they do have their own benefits, like the ability to actually target, track, fire, and forget. They have lots of options and can carry far more devastating payloads, but basically, there's upsides and downsides to each. Missiles go further, a lot further. For instance, a missile could travel out to 20 light seconds. A extended range heavy cannon will fire out to 5 light seconds. Generally, your average missile will also only fire out to 5 light seconds, but you can get the long range variant, which goes to 20. I believe there's a way to slightly increase the range of both guns, but that's not not important, I suppose. However, I do wonder, rules-wise, because the 20 is not extended range. Could you fire a 20 light second weapon at extended range? That would be frightening, because then it would go 40 light seconds. Anyway. So, here we are. Basically, you're looking at long-range weapons. I suppose that's something we should cover if we're talking about starships. So, the majority of starship-based encounters happen at the light second range. Starships also move at the light second range. By that, I mean your average speed of a starship is 0.1, 2 total, because you times that by 20. So a fighter is moving at a speed of 2 light seconds every 6 seconds, give or take. Capital ships, of course, move much slower. Capital ships are moving at like 0.4 or 0.8 light seconds every 6 seconds. but you are still looking at significant portions the speed of light, and weapon ranges stretching into multiple light seconds, at least for capital class vessels. So, most vessels engage at about, well, depends on their armament, but they will detect each other at a few light seconds out before engaging. They can detect things throughout an entire star system, for the most part, as long as it's not obscured or stealthing, because it's real easy to detect things in space. Um, hmm. There was something about that I wanted to cover. Something about movement. Oh, yes. Travel. On average, it takes a starship. Well, suppose we should start here. Starships generally move at up to 50 to 80% the speed of light. The majority of starships will travel at 50% the speed of light. However, as the maximum capability, usually. However, in system, ships will often be limited. Ships will be limited to whatever the local government has decreed, sometimes as low as 5% the speed of light. But usually they'll allow reasonable transit, as most systems have defenses against, well, any dangers that might arise from accelerating to high percentages of the speed of light. Uh, and there's also, well, what allows FTL and well, artificial gravity also lessens damage from objects moving at high percentages the speed of light. However, we do have rules. We do happen to have rules in case these devices are not present, in which case we can figure out exactly how much damage a collision at a high percent the speed of light does. But usually most places are safe against that and have speed restrictions and all that. And defenses. So, generally, if my math is right, which I feel like I should redo. Sorry, 1 second. Speed. Nope, time. Here we are. So, it is right. Good. Most starships take about a day to transit, well, from in the system to the edge of the system. Takes a day or 2 days. Usually takes about a day to get from any one location in the system. Not really, it takes far less. We usually do the full-on math, but it's usually a safe assumption that if you want to get from an FTL lane to the inner section of a system, or from the intersection of a system out to an FTL lane, it's going to take 1 or 2 days, usually, due to scale and size, and this is assuming you're traveling at 50% the speed of light. Yeah. Checking the thing. So yeah, about a day or two at 50% light speed to get to the edge of a system to enable FTL. What else did I want to cover? Oh yes, considering reinstating starships with less armament for the smaller classes and much more common. I mean, they are already more common. Hmm. Of course, there's cargo and lots of different options for cargo, including exterior ponds and all sorts for shipping goods from point A to point B, usually using FTL lanes, which we covered in our FTL lore video. The importance of FTL lanes. Let's see here. My apologies for the slow nature of all this. I did not get much rest. I was working a lot on the Galactic Requiem book and just didn't get a lot of rest. But basically, now, slightly off topic of starships. It's not like this is the Starship lore video or anything, so it's fine. This is Worldbuilding Wednesday. Of course, one other thing, Starship-wise. There are different tiers of FTL. Come on, this has to be more than that. There are different tiers of FTL that existed throughout history after the invention of FTL, as FTL was better understood by nations who acquired it. So, FTL ranges from like times 300 and something to times far less, basically indicating that over time, FTL has gotten better as the technology has advanced on a galactic scale. However, there are pockets of space out there with lower FTL starships and starships without FTL altogether. Most starships run on fusion drives as their power plants. And hmm, yeah, I'm I just can't do well at this. Um Basically, in short, unrelated to starships, there's a lot of formatting to do on the rulebook. Not in actual rules, just typing things down, making sure words spelt correctly, making sure things are in the proper places. A lot of that. And it's annoying work. I think I've been over that before, but it's a lot of, hey, this isn't formatted right. Find where the brakes are, hit enter at the brakes, make sure that it's lined up correctly. A lot of that. There's also small, minor adjustments to rules, putting things in certain rule books, updating information on certain objects, adding a bunch of objects. It's a lot of boring work and statting things and editing the stats of things. Not really anything rule-wise. I mean, there's been a few slight rule modifications that I've been working on. Mostly just, modifying a few numbers, add a clarification, add a little note about this, maybe change this, add this, remove that. A lot of little things like that. But the player book got updated, added some sections from another book into it, because I finally feel that the sections, even though they're not correct, they're still a bit fucked up. They're good enough. They're good enough because, I mean, I show it to players anyway, because they need the section to finish creating their character. I just specifically say to them every time, okay, so I didn't update the skill names or the feat names in this section. So if it's relevant to what this thing is, then you can take it. But I need to actually go in and fix that, which is, once more, a lot of busy work. Fucking just finding the right thing and typing it. It's not like I'm being creative with it, you know? It's tedious work. It's not creative. It's just find the feats that fit with this class, this occupation, note them under it, find the skills, remove the old skill names, import the new skill names, add in all the additional feats we've added over time that may relate to any individual occupation. It's a lot of that. But, I mean, character creation usually starts with an occupation. So I said, even though it's not done, I don't like putting things for my players to see that aren't done. But I was like, you know, there's already a bunch of stuff that's not done in the book. Might as well put those in there just so I don't need to send them to a secondary location. So that's now in the official book. Still working on finishing formatting items, which feels like infinite work. Cybernetics feels infinite. Biotech, robots, that kind of thing. The rules exist. We have a variety of different models of them. It's just not really available to players. Not that they can't use them, they just don't necessarily have access to the book innately. Of course, if they were like, I want to build a robot, I help them through it and all that and get them what they want. It's just not in a book they can access, mostly because the rules are wildly inaccurate. Basically, a lot of the rules in Galactic Requiem are incorrect. I know what they should be, and or if I don't know what they should be, I can look at it and figure out what they should be. But I have to go in and edit every single item, every single one of them. For instance, just for an example, this could be inaccurate, but I remember roughly the number of cybernetic augmentations is around 100 or something. Maybe a bit more. It might be around 150. It might be more. I haven't counted in a while, and I've added more without counting. So it's probably over 150, but at one point it was 100, 150. So basically, picture having to go look at 100 entries. We'll go with 100. Look at 100 entries. Look at the wording. Edit any wording that's incorrect to the law. Look at the numbers. Check the numbers. Are the numbers accurate? Make sure the numbers are accurate. Compare the numbers with other things. Make sure the stats fit the rules system. Make sure the stats fit the game. Make sure they're accurate to what is the law. Words are accurate. That's accurate. Look at the money. Is the amount cost accurate to the law? I mean, we get the base cost in, but it is modified via location and economy and all that. But is the cost accurate? Is the modifiers accurate? Is the wording accurate? It takes a couple minutes. Couple minutes. Sometimes less, but, you know, takes time to do it accurately. You have to read all the words, look at all the numbers, contemplate them, double check the rules, double check the law, you know? So, we've done that. Now do it 99 more times. You know, like, it's work. But that's not just cybernetics, by the way. That applies to basically anytime I say the statting needs to be done, it's that. I mean, let me put it this way. If you were a player and you said, Nico, I want a laser rifle. It'd be easy. It would be very easy. Here we are. Had to find the right dice. So, if you said, I want a laser rifle, your GM could easily grab the dice and say, okay, there's a laser rifle available, a variety on this world. Check economics or whatever, but if it's common enough, yeah, there's laser rifles available. Ooh, this laser rifle has enhanced damage. Not only does it have a +2 to damage, it also does one larger die. So instead of doing D10s, it does D12, 2D12 +1 damage. Did you want that laser rifle? By the way, that laser rifle is and we can easily generate the number. Minor nation, whichever minor nation you're on. So we input that number. Model 19 laser rifle. Easy enough. Or I want to build a robot. Okay, what kind of parts did you want on your robot? Here are the options. I can easily get you that information. Easily. But getting it filled out and accurate is just a lot of typing, reading, and editing. So, yeah. Basically, it's a lot of that. A whole lot of that. And then formatting, which is worse than that because it's a lot of enter, shift, space, enter, arrow key, enter, click, space. A lot of just formatting. Then there's slight rule editing, which is the funnest of all of it. I say funnest, it's the most mentally engaging. Because, okay, what should this rule be? Can we edit it? Oh, here's an idea of a thing. Will this work? Can we implement it? Let's give it a little test. Oh, that does work. Oh no, that doesn't work. It's a lot more. Editing rules can be difficult. It can be difficult, but it's engaging. At least it's not boring. Formatting is the boringest. Statting, tedious. Second most boring. Less boring though. Still boring. Less boring than formatting. Very tedious though. Just because, congrats, you finished one. You've made what feels like no progress. And then rule editing, which is the fun bit. I say fun, but not boring. So a lot of that. Well, a little of that, a lot of formatting, a lot of statting. But that has to get done eventually. So, yeah. Um, but like like I said, as far as I know, the base rules for everything are prepared. Have been for, well, I would say have been for years now, but I keep finding occasionally new things to add. But it's getting rarer and rarer to find new things to add rules wise. It's not like we add rules for the sake of it. It's just, is there a system I'm missing? Yes, no. Add a rule. If it is, figure out how to stat it. But then there's, what else was the other work? Figuring out rules is always less, well, it can be difficult, but like I said, less boring. Statting. Hmm. Just a lot of that. But that's what we do. It's been what, 4, 5 days since I started statting. Well, not in total, but since I got super enthusiastic to work on the rulebook, and I'm already, after 3, 4, 5 days, when was it? Saturday? Sunday? 4 days. So 4 days in, and I'm already once more at the stage of, oh gosh, this work is endless. Why? So, yeah, slowly I'll chip away at it, get the work done. But that's why we don't have News Tuesday. Well, we didn't have News Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have it next Tuesday. Hopefully. If we can get it prepared in time. I also need to work on the next lore video. Oh, that's the other thing. That was what I wanted to talk about. The random generators. So, as you know, Solo Sunday, in which we play Galactic Requiem. So, Solo Sunday is a solo tabletop RPG in which we roll dice solo. Basically, for that, and just for normal Galactic Requiem, I also work on, well, oh gosh, I also need to work on pixel art. Gotta get more ships, more vehicles, more, yeah, more ships and vehicles. And objects. But that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is there is specifically random generators that I'm working on. Basically. So not only for solo, but just for random generation of star systems, buildings, objects, random generators for everything, creatures, NPCs. So they can be back, basically, so they can be generated. It's a lot of additional work with its own problems. For instance, as mentioned, the Traveler World Gen, it's nice-ish, has problems. Part of it, I feel I need to rewrite from scratch. I've already rewritten most of it from scratch, but have to redo it because city placement annoys me. Not enough cities. Then again, as I mentioned, traveler populations are exceptionally low, ridiculously so, to the point that I despise it. It's like, wow, we're a sci-fi setting. We've been in space for so so long, thousands of years, something like that, hundreds or thousands of years. We've colonized the galaxy with FTL, well, a portion of it. What's the pop on this world? 3,000. What? It's a heavily civilized world. 3,000 people. What? Yes, 3,000. I uh, sure, sure. But they don't place enough cities. It has nothing to do with the population per se. Just I don't think the random world generator places enough cities. I need a good way to generate star systems. I need a way to generate buildings, and better streamlining of NPC control process for solo play, better nation generation, organization generation, slightly streamlined rules for empire and nation and organization management. Lots of things to work on. Not to mention the formatting and the statting and any rules that are missing or alterations and all that. So, that's what I've been working on. And that's what I'm going to go do right now. In other words, thank you for stopping by. My apologies for the very exceptionally rambly and low energy ness and the inability to think. As I said, didn't get a lot of rest. Next time is Solo Sunday, which is on Friday. Don't ask questions. We'll play some more of the game, which I look forward to. I have been looking more and more forward to getting back into the swing of the solo tabletop RPG. So there's that. And might even expand it to another day just because I want to do it a lot more recently. Anyway, once more, my apologies for this low energy stream. Thank you all for stopping by. As always, I've been your host, Casimir Basilius, and I hope you, yes, you, have a wonderful day.